Hey folks, welcome back to our Dice Tower preview. I'm Mark, and today we're taking a look at Reign of Nations. Reign of Nations is brought to you by Absolute Dominion, LLC. It's for 2 to 7 players, ages 14 and up, and games range anywhere from an hour to 2 hours. In Reign of Nations, you command vast armies. You have warlords and guardians that will help you along the way trying to hold on to your lands. Also, trying to conquer the lands of others. You win the game by eliminating one player's guardian, or if you wipe out their last city, or you destroy all their warlords. So, as you can see, this is one of those big games, dudes on a map, which I love because it also incorporates dice checking. Tons of neat things about this game, but let's first talk about the miniatures. The miniatures are phenomenal, and these are just the 3D printed ones. I can't wait to see what they do with the final production value of this game. And tokens represent your legions. They represent 1, 5, 10, and 25 troops, so to say, and you will be engaging battle with those troops. Your warlords are the main that you see here on the map, the main miniatures, and they will be moving across the landscape trying to defeat or remove one of the other players. Now, the interesting thing about that is there is no player elimination. Once somebody is out, they lose. Everyone loses except for the one who defeated that particular player. And throughout the course of the game, you're going to find that you're going to be combining forces at times to help each other out, but you want to reduce folks down not so far that someone else can swoop in and take them away from you. There is a lot of negotiating in this game, a lot of card play, some really interesting back and forth. All right, so let's take a quick look at setup and let's dive in. All right, just a quick look at setup. Each player will pick a faction. You'll find that faction's card as well as the warlords that go along with it. Each faction has 3 warlords and a corresponding guardian. The guardians are their super powerful creatures that you will be bringing out to the playing field once you have enough energy to do so. And they all correspond with the different types of factions. In this particular setup, we have 2-player game going on. So the rest of these out here are NPCs. And there's tokens to define which ones are NPCs. There's tokens to define the different factions that you're playing and the other players. So you can keep track of what's what very easily. Now, also, you can't have NPCs out there. There has got to be some resistance when you move into an NPC area. So you've got to put down at least one unit that you have to deal with in the particular areas, unless there's a warlord there. Warlords are, in their own right, worthy of battle. So they'll be out there as well. And along with your different faction cards, your different warlords, you're going to get 3 artifact cards, and you get to assign each of these artifacts to a specific warlord, which is really nice. Tons of different artifacts here, which really change up how you might play that particular faction every time. And there are power cards. Each player is going to receive 3 of those, and you're going to play those face down. Interesting thing about the different factions is they all have their own faction card, which, like a lot of games, will break rules. So you'll look at your specific power that you have, like so many games, for that faction, and keep that in mind as you play throughout. And each player at the start of the game is going to receive 50 units. These units can be spread across your nation however you see fit. You're also going to receive 10 energy points to start the game. Now, again, all the NPCs will get set up after the players get their warlords and all their pieces in place. Now, you're ready to begin. Now, one of the big things to take note of on this map is there are portals that can lead you all over the place. Now, if you are in an area with a portal and you want to move your warlord or legions, your troops, through it, you have to pay 5 energy to do so. But then you can move them to another portal. And if there's enemy factions there, enemy nations, then you engage in battle. All right, so let's take a look at some of the different cards and the different types of characters. So briefly, let's talk about the different types of cards that make up your nation. So again, like I said before, you have your nation's card, and all the different nations do have a symbol, so it's easy to track down which nation cards go together and which guardians go with what nation. So again, they all have special power, special abilities for that nation, which is outlined at the bottom of the nation card. And then we move to our guardians. So guardians, you'll find their health. In this case, we have 25. And the thing about guardians is that when you do summon them, it costs you 20 energy to do so. They are super powerful and a force to be reckoned with, but again, if your guardian is destroyed, you will lose the game, or the game will come to an end because that player who destroyed it will win. And it also shows on the guardian card what nation it corresponds to. Also, just like guardians, warlords have their own special ability as well. And the nice thing about the warlords, again, they have high health, and in this case, they show where they start on the board, which is really helpful for setup. And again, they all correspond to a certain icon. And they have the artifacts. So again, there's tons of artifacts. And the fact that you can assign them to different warlords, and you never know what you're going to get from this artifact stack. So you really changes up how you might play that particular nation or that faction for that particular game. And lastly, let's take a look at the power cards and the action cards. So power cards are really cool because they can do all kinds of different actions, and there's a huge stack of these. So as you move through the game and as you play multiple times, you'll find that you'll have additional actions and things you can do with these cards, and these can be played really kind of any time after the game starts. And there's some obviously caveats there. You know, there's some cards are going to be used in countering other power cards, things like that. But there is a power cost related to using these cards. So you have to use energy in order to activate them as well. But they all have different abilities at the bottom like you'd expect. And then there's action cards. And whenever you have to draw an action card, you immediately will perform that action. And again, there's a lot of different actions here, and will do really different things and potentially change up the game or perhaps ruin a strategy for others. Now, each round of the game is divided into 4 phases. First, you have the summon phase. Then you have the attack phase. You have the move and train phase after that. Now, the thing is with summon, this is where you potentially are going to bring out your guardian. Now, the requirement here is that you have 20 energy to do so. You don't specifically have to spend that energy. You just have to possess 20 energy to bring your guardian out. Now, when you place them in your area or your nation's province, you will have to sacrifice a legion in order to do so. But you'll place it out and prep that guardian for attacking and moving. Then we move to the attack phase, which is really kind of the heart of the game and the part I enjoy maybe the most. I love dice chuckers. So you have some different dice here. You have red dice for attacking, green dice for defending, and black dice are rolled for the warlords. Now, how do you determine what dice get rolled? Well, the way attacking works is that you look at your units, and whoever you're going to attack, they have to be in an adjacent spot. So if they are, and you choose to attack an opponent in that adjacent spot, you will declare that and move there. And then there's a handy chart based on however many legions and what warlords are present will determine what dice to collect for the battle. And so you roll the dice, the attacker versus the defender. And the thing that you're looking for here is to have the higher numbered value between the green and the red dice. And whoever does is going to win this battle. But the thing about it is carnage can happen. There's a carnage table. And what does that mean? Well, if you roll all of the same number, all kinds of craziness can happen. You know, and rolling all ones is like critical failure. I think you lose 10 legion when that happens. But we played in a game where someone rolled all 3s. I want to say 4 dice, and that's pretty good actually, because that automatically wins you the battles. So the carnage table isn't all bad for you. It's bad for somebody, right? Obviously. But it's a really fun aspect to the dice checking of this game. Now, there's also those black dice. So they are the warlords after all. They are the powerhouse. So the first thing that happens from dice rolling is the black dice will deduct however many legions that number value calls for. It will right off the top before the rest of the battle can be figured out. All right, so let's talk about wounds. So after the battle has been resolved, then you'll consult the table again to determine what you roll to inflict wounds. Now, if you're inflicting wounds on a warlord, you'll grab wound markers and put it on the warlord's card, ever closing in on destroying that warlord. Now, the thing is that the legions, though, each legion, or each individual legion, I should say, is only worth 1 hit point. So as you do damage, you'll just remove those from the total out on the table. And again, you'll make change from all the different tokens. And there's a ton of tokens in this game. And you'll place them and readjust the legions that are out on the board. So then at the end of the battle, if you happen to conquer that particular province, well, then you'll remove the warlord or all the different tokens that were there, and you'll be placing your tokens, taking over that province. Now, in doing so, there are icons in those provinces, and you will get units and energy based on the province you occupied or took over. And the other thing is, if it happens to be a city, well, then you're going to get a power card, but you'll always get an action card which you have to perform immediately. Then phase 3 is all about movement. Well, this is for your particular legions, units, and warlords that did not attack in the previous phase. You can move them 1 space basically, or 1 adjacent spot. The thing about it is there are some lines here to take note of on the board. You have these double lines, which are trade routes. In general, your troops cannot move through water, but they can follow these trade routes across the world, so to say. However, the Vasai, who live on the outskirts of the map, have the ability to use the slipstream, which are these wavy lines, moving them across the board, and only they can use these, as each of their provinces or areas are around the edge of the board. So after you move all your troops and get them placed, then you move to training, which is the 4th phase, and training is just about getting more troops or more units. And you'll get 25, and you can place them in cities that you own, or you may choose to hold them back. There are some limits that you have for how many troops you can have in places, so there may be reasons to hold them back. But in my play, I was usually down and out, so I was always putting my troops out every round. And so the game continues this way round after round until one of 3 things happens. Either you've wiped out all the cities that a player controls, wiping them off, declaring you the winner, or you happen to destroy someone's guardian, or you destroy their last warlord. Either way, it will eliminate that player, and whoever does that elimination will be declared the winner. Now, again, throughout the game, you're going to be trying to set up the different nations for that final blow, so to say, to take them out, and negotiating along the way, maybe having some help from the other players. All right, folks, just a reminder once again, this has been a Dice Tower paid preview. Everything you've seen here has been in prototype form, so keep a close eye on the campaign for any changes that still may occur. Now, with that said, this game has amazing table presence. Oh my gosh, these miniatures are phenomenal, as you might expect them to be, but these are so detailed, and they look like the artwork that they provided as well. Just really cool. And these are the 3D printed versions. I can't wait to see the finals. All right, so the thing that I found really interesting again in this game is the fact that you have these power cards with tons of different actions, and how you can mix and match those as you play the game, and how you can counter power cards as they come out. So things like that to take note of. And the fact that it's a dice chucker with dudes on a board. Yeah, it's my kind of game for sure. But ultimately, folks, if this looks like a game that would be of interest to you, I'm sure they'd appreciate your support. So I think that's it from me, and until next time, we'll see you at the table.
Thanks so much for watching another Dice Tower video. If you enjoy our videos, subscribe to the channel for more fun, comprehensive board game coverage. Also, consider joining us at one of our events. Come to Dice Tower Retreat, a small, intimate gathering where gaming is king. Join us for Dice Tower Cruise, the largest board game cruise. Attend Dice Tower West in Las Vegas for gaming fun on the West Coast, or Dice Tower East in Orlando in sunny Florida. Dice Tower Conventions, the friendliest gaming conventions on Earth. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.